Good day, ABM Business Math learners. I am Ma'am Yang, and again, welcome to my class. In this video, you will acquire understanding of the terms that are commonly used in buying and selling activities, such as mark-on, markdown, and a markup. Let's get ready. The most essential learning competency that you learners should acquire is to differentiate mark-on, markdown, and markup and obtain mark-on, markdown, and markup given price of the product. Now let us define what markup is. Markup is the amount added by the seller to the cost of commodity to cover expenses and profit in fixing the selling price. Also, it is the difference between the selling price and the cost price, sometimes referred to as margin or gross profit. Here is a sample scenario that could help us understand what markup is this. Jack sees the struggle of budget in their family every day brought by the number they had. Because of this, Jack wants to help his family, even just a simple amount, just to lighten up the burden of his father. Since he is good in dealing products, he bought a pair of shoes from an online live selling for only 500 pesos coming from his savings. The online seller asked for an additional 50 pesos charge for delivery fee, which is a 10% worth of the said product. He assumes to have 30% profit from the 500 pesos worth of product. He then now sells the pair of shoes for 700 pesos. Considering the concept of markup, having an additional of 200 pesos to gain profit and cover its delivery fee or overhead expense, or what we call operating expense. To compute for markup, we have here two formula. The first one is markup is equal to selling price minus cost price, or MU is equal to SP minus C, where MU is the markup, SP is the selling price, and C is the cost price. And another is markup is equal to expenses plus profits, or MU is equal to E plus P, where MU is the markup, is the expenses or operating expenses, and P is for profit. Once markup is identified, we can now compute for selling price. And selling price formula is selling price is equal to cost plus markup, or selling price is equal to cost plus operating expenses plus profit. Other terminologies in buying and selling that are essential in computing markup are cost, the price that a company or store has to pay for the goods it is going to sell, the price that has to be spent to produce goods or services before any profit is added. Another, operating expenses or overhead. This is the regular expenses, or these are the regular expenses of doing business, such as rent, wages, utilities, and others. It is also the price per unit incurred relative to the production and sale of a commodity. And next is the profit. Profit is the amount remaining after subtracting the cost of bringing the goods into the store and the operating expenses. It is also a money earned after the cost price and the operating cost are accounted for after the sale of a commodity. And last is the selling price. The selling price is the price at which a good or service is sold by the seller to the buyer. Solving scenario: XYZ Bake Shop sells medium cakes cost 400 pesos for the ingredients, adds 20% of the cost for operating expenses, such as delivery expense. The goal is to earn a profit of 30% of the cost. How much is the markup on the cake? Let's take a look at the given. So the given are the cost of the made cakes, which is 400 pesos. The operating expenses is 20% of the cost, and profit is 30% of the cost. Now the formula to be used is markup is equal to expenses plus profit. So the expenses is 20% of the cost, so 20% of the 400 plus 30% of the cost for the profit, which is 30% times 400. So 20% times 400 is 80 plus 30% of 400 is 120. So the markup for the cake is 200 pesos. Same scenario but different question. So the question here is, how much is the selling price? The given were already identified earlier. The cost is 400 pesos. The operating expenses is 20% of the cost, and the profit is 30% of the cost. Now we are asked to solve for a selling price. So the formula for selling price is equal to cost plus operating expenses plus profit. Let us substitute. The cost is 400. The operating expenses is 20% of the cost, which is 400, and profit is 30% of the cost, which is also 400. Now, let us compute. Cost is 400, operating expenses is 80, and the profit is 120. So the selling price is 600. Since 400 plus 8 is 480 plus 120 is 600. Or we can also use this formula. Selling price is equal to cost plus markup. Now let us substitute. 400 is the cost, and the markup that we have already computed earlier, which is amounting to 200 pesos. The selling price is 600 pesos. Another thing that we should also know is how to compute for the rate of markup. So, rate of markup can be based on selling price or based on cost price. So, rate of markup based on selling price, it is the differential rate between the net income or the markup cost and selling price. And the rate of markup based on cost is the differential rate between the net income or the markup cost and original cost. For the rate of markup based on selling price, we have here a given. Markup 200, selling price is 600, the cost is 400. The formula to be used is markup rate based on selling price is equal to markup divided by selling price, and the product of this will be multiplied to 100. So, let us substitute. Markup is 200 divided by 600 multiplied to 100. So the answer is 33 and 33%. That is the rate based on the selling price. So let us check if our answer is correct. So 33 and 33% times 600. So the cost of markup is 200 pesos. So our answer is correct. Now let us proceed to computing the rate of markup based on cost. So we have the same given. Markup is 200, selling price is 600, and cost is 400. Now, the formula is markup rate based on cost is equal to markup divided by cost. Since the rate of markup is based on cost, so the markup should be divided by a cost and then multiplied to 100. Now let us substitute. Markup is 200 divided by 400, and the product of this is to be multiplied to 100. So the answer is 50% is the rate based on cost. Now let us check. 50% times 400 is 200. So 200 is the cost of markup. But what if you are looking for the selling price of an item, but the only present given is the markup rate based on cost and the cost only? So, for example, the given are the product cost, which is 30 pesos, and the rate of markup based on cost is 10%. So the formula to be used is selling price is equal to cost plus a markup. So let us substitute. The cost is 30 pesos and the markup is 10% of the cost. So that will be 30 times 10%. Now 30 plus 3, since the markup is 3 pesos, 30 times 10%. So the selling price is 33 pesos. And now we are going to proceed in getting original cost of an item, but the only present given is the rate based on selling price and the selling price only. Now the given are the selling price, which is 33 pesos, and the rate of markup based on selling price is 9 and 10%. The formula to be used is still the same. Selling price is equal to cost plus markup. Now let us substitute. Selling price is 33 pesos and the markup is 33 times 91 thousandths. Since our markup is based on selling price. Now let us compute. So 33 is equal to cost plus 3, since 33 times 91 thousandths is 3. Now let us compute the C, the cost. So enable for us to compute for the cost, since it is in addition form, so we will subtract both sides. Okay, so we will subtract 3 both sides. So 3 minus 3 is 0, so bring down the cost, and 33 minus 3 is 30. So the cost is 30 pesos. Now we're done with markup and how to compute the problems related to it. We'll proceed now to markdown. What is markdown? Markdown is a temporary or permanent reduction in selling price of an item to stimulate the demand or to drive a competitor out of the market. So temporary markdown is the reduction in the selling price of an item to encourage consumers to increase their demand on a particular product. While permanent reduction or the permanent markdown is implemented by companies to remove a poor sales product from their inventory. So in general, the purpose of a markdown is either to generate sales or to clear inventory. To better understand what markdown is, we have here a sample scenario. Miss Prancy had an overwhelming start in her Shopao business because she had a volume of productions and sales in the previous months. But after several months had gone by, she noticed that customers did not repeatedly buy, and she heard that some prospect buyers were hesitant to buy Shopao because it was too costly to them. Because of this, Miss Prancy cut down the price of her Shopao from 50 pesos to 30 pesos only so that her product will reach the customer's budget. So this concept is what we call markdown. The formula for markdown is equal to old selling price or original selling price minus new selling price. Let us see this solving scenario about markdown. Miss Prency was really upset with the current situation in her business because of the numerous competitors using online business and selling Shopao. Despite of this, she wanted to keep up her business and decided to have a markdown or lessen the price of her Shopao from 50 pesos to 40 pesos only. The question is, what is or how much is the markdown rate? So the given are the new selling price, which is 40 pesos, and the original or the old selling price, which is 50 pesos. To compute, the formula is markdown rate is equal to 1 minus new selling price divided by original selling price. So let us substitute 1 minus, so the new selling price is 40 and the original selling price is 50. So dividing 40 divided by 50 will result to 80 hundredths. Okay, so 1 minus 80 hundredths is 20 hundredths or 20%. 20% is the markdown rate from Miss Prence's Shopao business. Another solving scenario about markdown is, what is the markdown cost if the original selling price is 50 pesos and the rate of markdown is 20%? So the formula to be used is markdown is equal to original selling price times rate of markdown. So substitute the original selling price is 50 pesos and the rate of markdown is 20%. So the markdown cost is 10 pesos. Another scenario for markdown, what is the new selling price if the rate of the markdown is at 30% and the price of Shopao is 80 pesos? So the formula is new selling price is equal to original selling price multiplied to the difference of 1 minus rate of markdown. Now let us substitute. New selling price is equal to original selling price, which is 80, and 1 minus rate of markdown, which is 30%. So 80 times 70 hundredths. Since 1 minus 30 hundredths is 70 hundredths. Now let us multiply. 80 times 70 hundredths is 56. So the new selling price after the markdown is only 56 pesos. Now we're done with markup and markdown. Let us proceed to mark on. What is mark on? Mark on is the increase in the price of a retail product that occurs soon after another increase. To better understand what mark-on is, we have here a sample scenario. Aubrey Specialty Store sells Christmas decorations, especially her all-time bestseller, Belen. So, Belen is the image of the Nativity of Christ. So, from September to December is the peak where customers buy Belen. The usual amount of a regular size Belen is only 850 pesos. Since many customers will buy Belen and decorations as part of Filipino traditions that symbolize the birth of Christ, the store is supposed to have a mark-on or an additional of 25% from their different products. So the price of the Belen now is 1,062 pesos and 50 centavos. So this concept best describes what mark-on is. For mark-on formula, we have mark-on is equal to peak selling price less original selling price, or mark-on is equal to original selling price multiplied to mark-on rate. And to compute for peak selling price, the formula is peak selling price is equal to cost plus markup plus mark-on. We have here a solving scenario regarding mark-on. Let us read. Aling Ninay owns a sari-sari store and serves Ilonggo's bok choy feet for the rainy day season and even days where customers wanted to satisfy their cravings. The cost of her bok choy is only 40 pesos per serving. She marked up her bok choy to 25% of the original price. She knew that even if she increases the price of bok choy during the rainy seasons, her customers will still buy it. So she decided to mark on 10% to its original selling price. The question is, how much is the markup cost? To get the markup cost, we just simply multiply the cost of the product to the markup rate. So we have here a formula. Markup is equal to cost times rate. So 40% times 25%. So markup is 10 pesos. We are still with Aling Ninay scenario, but the question is, how much is the actual selling price? The actual selling price before the mark-on. So, to compute selling price is equal to cost plus markup. So, cost is 40 pesos and the markup that we have computed earlier is 10 pesos. So, the selling price is 50 pesos. Next question is, how much is the mark-on? To compute, mark-on is equal to original selling price times mark-on rate. So the original selling price that we have computed earlier, 50 pesos. Then we will multiply this to a mark-on rate which is 10%. So the mark-on rate is 5 pesos. Next question is, how much is the new selling price after mark-on? So they are now asking how much is the peak selling price. So to compute, peak selling price is equal to cost plus markup plus mark-on. So the cost is 40 pesos, the markup is 10 pesos, and the mark-on is 5 pesos. So the new or the peak selling price or the new selling price now is 55 pesos. Okay, let's take a break and hope you've learned something about markup, markdown, and mark-on. Thank you so much. See you in our next video lesson.